Greetings, my saplings. Alright, so in today's video, we are going to be talking about the white, off-white Air Vapormax. To be more specific, like always, we are going to be mentioning some release info for these shoes, how to cop them, and of course, for those of you who do care, we will also be talking about some resale predictions. Now, to kick it off with some release info, these of course will be releasing on April 14th, and not just these, but we have a ton of heat coming out on April 14th. Just to let you guys know, because I know in the last video where I talked about this, you didn't exactly know the names of one of them, and it was the Undefeated Ultra Boost. So I will make a how to cop guide on these a little later, but along with the Undefeated Ultra Boost, we also have the Blush 500s coming out, and also the Shadow ones. So I mentioned this before, but you're going to have some pretty good time management skills because the 14th is going to be very, very hectic. I'm just letting you know. Anyway, though, the retail on these shoes will be $250, and essentially everything on this shoe will stay almost the same aside from, of course, the shoe being white instead of black. All right, so with the release info out of the way, let's talk about the most important part, and of course, that is going to be how to cop them. How can you get yourself a pair of these off-white Air Vapormaxes? Now, before anything, I just want to clarify that this is going to be a very, very difficult shoe to get. Unlike the Shadow ones, unlike the Blush 500s that we talked about, those should be rather easy to get. These are not going to be easy to get, so I'm just giving you a warning, guys. If you can't get these, if you happen to take L's on every single raffle that I'm going to be mentioning, on every single first come, first serve that I'm going to be talking to you about, if you happen to take an L, don't stress it, honestly, because there are going to be so many other people who take L's, and of course, there's more heat coming out that same day, so if you take an L, you got some other stuff, no problem. So what's going to be happening with these is essentially most of the stores that got the black version of these, which is the second version of the Off-White Air Vapormax, almost all of those same stores will be getting these as well. However, there are a couple of differences, and I will have to keep you guys updated on this. I'll make a tips for copying video where I mention all the updated raffles, all the confirmed first come, first serves with the times and everything. So if you don't want to miss that, make sure you subscribe and turn on post notifications. But right now, I'm just going to give you what I know so far. So to kick it off, the first come, first serve stores that are going to be getting these, most likely, the first two we're going to be talking about are Foot Patrol and Dover Street Market London. Now, I'm not exactly sure if Dover Street Market London only ships inside of Europe, because I know that there's a separate Dover Street Market New York release that we'll talk about in a second that only ships in the US, I believe. But regardless, it is going to be at the same time, which is going to be at 3 a.m. Eastern time. So if you want to stay up and if you're in the US, feel free to go for both of them. Feel free to refresh both sites and see if you get lucky. Now, regarding refreshing, I've mentioned this tip in multiple videos, so you guys should know this. So let's try this out like a Dora episode, you know? So what do you do to refresh? That's right, you hit Command R on Mac and F5 on Windows. Bravo, you guys knew that the whole time, didn't you? Also, of course, I want you guys to use autofill. Autofill is essential when it comes to these first come, first serves. Now, while you're trying to acquire these shoes from Foot Patrol and Dover Street Market London, you should also be trying your luck on Soulbox. Now, I've mentioned this also on Soulbox. Again, guys, let's do the Dora theme thing. But what do you do on Soulbox? What's the #1 way to get these shoes? That's right, you gotta use the multiple people jig. You see, the reason we use the multiple people jig on Soulbox is because we found out that they track your cookies, which means that they won't IP ban you, and it is a randomized process, and we figured this out through trial and error. I've had multiple devices on the queue from the very beginning that don't get anywhere. Meanwhile, some other devices that were in the queue a few minutes later, somehow those get in, so obviously this is a randomized process, and they are tracking your cookies, so feel free to use the multiple people jig while you are trying to go for the Foot Patrol and Dover Street Market release. But along with those first come, first serves, I will be making that updated video to mention any more that happen to come up. Also at 3 a.m. Eastern time, we will have the Nike sneakers Europe drop. Now, the Europe drop obviously is only shipping inside of the EU, so if you happen to be in Canada or in the US, the only way you can acquire these shoes off of there would be if you had a relative there. No, they do not unfortunately ship outside of Europe for Nike sneakers EU, but luckily at 10 a.m. Eastern time, we do have the Nike sneakers US drop. Now, I briefly did want to mention something about the Nike sneakers draw, and I've briefly touched on this in the last video that I made. Essentially, what I want you guys to do is experiment a little where we keep the address the same, but we will change up our payment methods. Now, I believe someone left a comment. I read all the comments. I might not respond to all of them, but I saw someone comment something around the lines of, Jay Chiza does this like online training course, and he said that you have to jig everything. You got to change all of the stuff, like the address and all that stuff, which I don't really understand. I guess maybe he uses the address jig where you change the last word in your address, because I physically can't see you shipping these shoes to a neighbor's house because it won't match the billing address on your payment method. It just doesn't add up in my head. But if anyone has some insight on what Jay Chiza was trying to teach you guys, feel free to leave it in the comments. Again, I really want to hear what you guys have to say about this. But if you want to experiment to make multiple entries into the draw, change everything up except for the address. You could change your name, you could change your birth date, all that stuff. The only thing I would say keep the same is keep the address the same and maybe mess around with the last word. Say if it's street, you spell it wrong a few times. Maybe you make it ST, maybe ST dot. Something like that. It's just worth experimenting with, that's all. And of course, for those of you who are unaware, you guys should already know this, but you do need separate phone numbers. So feel free to text a friend and be like, hey, just send me over that verification code or something like that. Now, also, I wanted to mention another drop. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the name because I'll just make a fool out of myself. It is going to be at 8 a.m. Eastern Time, and the only way you will have a chance to purchase these shoes from there, you have to make an account. It's free. Just ignore all the offers that they have. Just sign up for an account, register, and you will have an opportunity to purchase at 8 a.m. Eastern Time. Along with that, at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, we have the Dover Street Market New York drop. Again, I believe that they are only shipping inside of the US. I might be mistaken, but if any of you guys happen to know what happened on the last drop, feel free to let me know in the comments. And finally, if all day you've taken L's and you're just like, man, this has been a terrible day, you do have one final chance, and that final chance will be blends at 12 p.m. Eastern Time. And of course, if there happens to be any others, I will make that updated video, and I probably will do a live stream, but we'll talk about that a little later. Now, of course, there will be raffles that you have to sign up for. All the raffles that I'm going to be mentioning, they will have the links on my Twitter, which is going to be KeithAdam10. Now, I'm not going to put the links up now because the raffles haven't started. However, I'm just going to give you a list of what raffles will be getting them, so I'll just throw them out right now. It'll be Foot District, Bodega, and Clothing, Slam Jam Socialism, Sneakers and Stuff, One Block Down, Tress Bean, if I pronounced that correctly, Naked, Voo Store, Excelsior Milano, SVD, Brown's Fashion, 290, SQM, and the Holy Pop Store. Now, for all of these, I will, in that updated video, be teaching you how to make multiple entries, because for each one, it's a little bit different. Now, a lot of you guys know Slam Jam Socialism is absolutely my favorite. It's the easiest one to get just tons of entries into, and a lot of you guys message me on Twitter saying, Keith, thank you so much, like, I managed to take a W off of Slam Jam Socialism, and honestly, guys, you could just go ham. Like, if you want to make 50 entries on there, you can, and I'll explain how to do it in that upcoming video. And I also wanted to mention if Nordstrom, and yeah, I know it's Nordstrom. I said Nordstorm in the previous video. Bravo.
I
know,
guys-
it's great. I have fantastic pronunciation. But what I wanted to mention about this was a guy named Mandrew. He's another YouTuber in this community, makes how to cop guides. I really do like his videos. He puts some valuable info out there. He focuses more on the bot side of copying things, where over here, I try to teach you guys how to cop manually. However, he did find a jig where you can get these in your cart. It's very similar to the Barney's jig that we did on the Blue Tint release, so a long time ago. And we also tried to do it on the Futurecraft 4D release. There's one little difference though, but this is the video right here that I'm referring to, so feel free to go check it out if you haven't. Again, Mandrew's a super informative YouTuber. I do recommend checking him out. But again, if any more raffles come up, if any more first come first serves come up, turn on notifications so you don't miss that tips for copying video that I'll make as we get closer to the release. Alright, so with the how to cop portion of the video out of the way, why don't we talk about some resale predictions for those of you who might care about that. So do I think that they will resell? Absolutely. Do I think they're going to sell out? Of course, guys. And now a lot of you guys might wonder, Keith, what if I'm paying in euros and it's like a lot for shipping and ends up being like $340 or so? Is it still worth getting these for resale? Yes, absolutely. I'm gonna have to say that I think the stock is going to be almost identical as the black ones. Not only that, but I think the demand is going to be almost exactly the same as well. The reason I say this is because although it's a white shoe and less people will like white shoes because they get dirtier easier, I still think that it's going to have equal demand because more people will want this one as opposed to the black one, considering that it's completely different from the first Air Vapormax off-white shoe. It's not black, it's white, unlike the previous one, which was also black, just like the first one. So I'm thinking that stock will be the same, demand should be very similar, so therefore I'm going to have to say resale should be almost exactly the same as the previous ones, which would end up being around $550 to $650. And of course, guys, the rare sizes will go for more. Now, I get this question a lot. You guys are always telling me, Keith, what is the best size to go for reselling them? And here's my opinion on that. On a very limited shoe like this, you can't get greedy like that. If you end up signing up for all the raffles and you sign up for a size 14 or a size 12.5, your chances of copying the shoe are so low. Sure, you might, if you get them, you make the most money possible, right? But wouldn't you rather go for a size 10 or a 10.5 and at least get something? Because although you might make more profit with a size 14 or 12.5, it's very unlikely that you'll even get anything. So I would say stay conservative, go for a 10 and a 10.5. Those are always the most heavily stocked shoe. You will have the greatest chance going for them. So if you're only getting these shoes to resell them, again, size 10, size 10.5. So that's just my opinion. Even though you would make money on the bigger sizes, just go for a 10 and a 10.5. Now, the last thing I wanted to say before I ended the video is I probably will be doing a live stream on the 13th to the 14th for the Yeezy 500 drop, for this release, obviously, the Undefeated release, for the Shadow release, all that stuff. So, of course, guys, I kind of want to know your input. Like, should I do the live stream or should I not do the live stream? Because, honestly, it's up to you. I know a lot of you guys were asking for it, but maybe I'll put a poll up on Twitter or something like that. But just let me know in the comments what you guys have to say, though. With that, I am out of here, guys, though, so good luck on this release. If you happen to be new, make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss any of these hyped releases or any valuable info. Of course, guys, if you happen to learn something or if you happen to just simply enjoy the video, feel free to leave a like. It would be greatly appreciated. But with that, I'm out of here, guys. Have a fantastic day, and I'll see you guys later.
Now there's just one thing to say. Get your foot off my foot.